This week on Crunch Week, we're talking about Amazon Fire TV, Mike Judge's Silicon Valley, and a new platform strategy for Microsoft. Hi, welcome to Crunch Week. I'm Lena Rao.
I'm Ryan Lawler.
And I'm Alex.
So this week was a big week of news. I know I say that all the time, but Amazon debuted its I guess Apple TV like killer. What do you think, Ryan? What was your perspective? You're the local media
So
expert.
Amazon released this box. It's their streaming box. It's like 3 years too late. But as with anything Amazon, you know, you have the Amazon.com website that millions and millions of people see every day. And so I'm sure they'll be promoting it heavily. But yeah, it's a streaming box. It's $99. It's just like the Apple TV, the Roku, or whatever. It has all the same content. You know, it has Netflix. It has Amazon Video on Demand. It has
Does it plug into my Prime account?
Yeah.
So all the Prime content can now be on my television? Okay,
All the Prime
awesome.
content
That's the
will
main
be-
advantage
Yeah,
of the thing,
so
right?
we
Yeah,
can.
Okay.
Although, interestingly enough, when they listed their content partners, they listed Netflix first.
Right.
It was like
Really?
Amazon Fire TV with Netflix, Amazon Prime Instant Video. It's like, really? Like,
Well, I mean, how much time do you spend on Netflix versus Amazon Prime Instant Video? I mean, I watch like maybe one Amazon Prime Instant Video per
No,
month. I watch
yeah,
a
it's
lot
very
more Netflix
rare.
than that. So
Yeah.
if they're trying to cater to the larger audience, I mean, I get that.
In terms of content itself, like, do they have a lot of the new content, like the way Apple TV gets like new movies and things like that?
yeah, I mean, so they'll have for on-demand, like stuff that you could rent or that you could buy, like they'll have all the same stuff as like iTunes or whatever. But I mean, really the more important part is sort of this partner strategy where, you know, they have Netflix, they have Hulu, they have, you know, they'll have HBO Go, they'll have Vimeo, they'll have YouTube, all that stuff.
So if it moves, they'll have it, essentially.
Yeah,
Okay.
basically. Which brings up the question, like, what's the differentiator? Why do I buy an Amazon streaming box as
Right.
opposed to a Roku, as opposed to an Apple TV? And the big thing is, the two big things are voice search and control.
Which is another technology like the Xbox, which also does streaming Netflix
But
and streaming HBO Go and whatnot. I mean, like, so
Don't
that's
you feel
not really
like that's something that
differentiator.
like Apple's just so easily can add?
Well, I mean, it's something they could add. I mean, obviously, you know, Apple has Siri, and so it
Yeah.
could easily just like port that into the Apple TV. The big question is like, do people actually want, you know, voice control for their TV? Like,
Yeah. I
Do you guys have an Xbox One? Either of you?
I know I have
I
a
know.
Wii.
So
now.
I have one for like the next week, and I've been trying to talk to it, and it does not like my voice. So like, voice control sounds awesome, like tell your TV to do stuff or whatever. But
Yeah.
in my experience, I'm like Xbox, and it just is like, what? No, absolutely not. So it sounds cool, but I mean,
It
again,
has to be good in
Yeah, and how often do you
implementation.
really use Siri?
right.
Never.
Exactly.
Well, also, so the other thing is it has gaming. Like it has
Okay.
a quad-core chip in it. It's about 3 times as powerful as like the other boxes on the market. And the idea is that you'd actually be able to use it for low-level, like Ouya-like gaming.
So it's poor man's Xbox with a weird controller that has Amazon Instant Streaming.
Basically.
I'm gonna pass.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah. What's the price comparison? You know.
Well, so it's $99, which is it's the same price as the Apple TV. Chromecast is $35, so it's more than that. Roku has lots of different products, but their high end is the same. It's $99. Their low end is $49. So, I mean, other than the fact that it's going to sit on Amazon.com's front page, I'm not really sure like who's going to buy this thing.
Yeah. And like, is there any benefit? You know, obviously with the Apple angle, you know, your single ID goes in at so many places. It's like if you're an Apple user, you know,
Right.
is there any? Are they? Because like Amazon has its own identity with its marketplace, and you know, your
Yeah,
Amazon.
I mean it's the same type of thing. They're trying to build out their own ecosystem, right? So if you're an Amazon customer, you'll be able to sign in to your Kindle Fire as well as the Fire TV,
Right.
And anything that you buy or purchase or download on any of those devices, you'll be able to access
right
the
there.
same way with iTunes.
Yeah.
This is just kind of a part of the platform wars, right? Everyone wants to control identity, federate
Right.
services out, and move into devices. I mean, this is, you know, Apple, Google, Microsoft, I mean, everybody's doing this. Do you see Amazon do? It's fun because they're a book-selling company and a data backend. But I mean, I wish them well. Don't get me wrong, but I don't see enough differentiation here to really make this a standout product.
Right.
If the Apple TV can't sell very well, how good will the Amazon TV equivalent?
That's a good point. Well, let's move on to my favorite topic, I think, this week, which is Mike Judge's new television show, Silicon Valley, debuting on HBO on Sunday. it's been, you know, the reviews have come out, one of which Ryan, you wrote, but basically it's been talked about how it is, you know, the most accurate portrayal of Silicon Valley and the tech startup ecosystem that has been, you know, done. You know, of course, Elon Musk would say, I guess he was heard commentating that he didn't think it was very accurate, and he wanted to take Mike Judge to Burning Man to show him.
I love that comment.
What do you think, Ryan? Because you've seen a few episodes now.
I've seen 5 episodes. I think it's an 8-episode series, so I've seen more than half of it. It's actually it's pretty good. I mean, it's funny, which is the most important thing, and it's funny in a way that, you know, it's not just going to be, you know, people in the ecosystem that find this funny. Yeah, there are lots of things that, you know, lots of similarities that we'll be able to laugh about, like the big corporation is called Hooli, and it looks like they show you the Hooli campus, and it's basically the Googleplex. Like, it looks like, you know, it's all decked out in primary colors, and it's got like the big campus eatery, and, you know, people
are riding around on bicycles.
People riding around on bicycles, and, you know, they've got like a Peter Thiel character. So, you know, there are things that will be funny for people like us, but more importantly, like, it's funny in and of itself.
Well, how is the writing? Like, I'm really curious, obviously, to see, like, you know, something coming from Mike Judge, you know, like, just ever, like, was the writing good? I think that one of the things that separates some of the more recent television content has been writing, like House of Cards, just great writing. You know, what do you think?
I mean, it's a comedy, right?
Yeah.
So the writing is good, but, you know, this is the guy who did Beavis and Butthead and Office Space. So there's
those are really high watermarks of content. I mean, Beavis and Butthead is just one of the best things ever created. Okay, anyways, you were saying. Sorry about that.
But no, I mean, and it is that type of comedy. You know, they're gag jokes about technology not working. You know, big surprise, right? Like, but it's mostly character driven. So, you know, it's basically like all these characters rubbing up against each other in different ways, and they're all socially awkward in their own, you know, interesting way.
Is TechCrunch in the show?
TechCrunch, of course TechCrunch is in the show.
That was a softball. You're supposed to just whack that thing, not complain to me.
In the show.
Tell the lovely audience how cool we are.
So TechCrunch Disrupt, actually, specifically, is in the show. And in episode 5, the last episode that they had screeners for, TechCrunch Disrupt, TechCrunch, and TCD, they mentioned like 10 times, like in the course of one scene. They're like, yeah, TCD. I've never heard anyone say TCD.
No one says that. By the way, audience, just no. Absolutely not.
No one says that. TCD.
Sounds like
so
a drug.
Yeah, we won't do. But the big thing is, like, you know, this company took money, and so they weren't supposed to be in TechCrunch Disrupt. We'll just call our friends at TechCrunch and withdraw. No, you have to participate in TechCrunch Disrupt. You know.
Who played the fictional TechCrunch reporter? Or staffer?
Well, no,
Was there anyone?
There wasn't anyone, although Arrington's in it, and Jason Kincaid is also in it. Just part of
the two non-TechCrunch staffers.
Well, I mean,
it's like the ghost of TechCrunch past is like, yo, what up,
Jason
bitch?
does do the Battlefield, so he's like he's hit that's his position, and he continues to do it for us. And of course, Michael will never. He's our founder.
But the cool thing was, I mean, the cool thing was that, you know, last year at Disrupt, Mike Judge and Alec Berg and a couple of the other writer-producers actually visited us backstage at the Startup Battlefield, and they watched it, and, you know, they actually took care to see how it worked and recreate it for the show. So I haven't seen that part yet. That's in the last couple of episodes.
So we'll see if the authenticity.
So the culmination of this show about Silicon Valley ends with TechCrunch Disrupt Battlefield?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That's well.
I wasn't going to watch the show. Now I may have to, just because
to.
I'm such a narcissist. Damn. That's not fair, man.
All right, well, we'll let you guys decide whether you like it, but I want to move on to some Microsoft news that happened this week. You were on the ground at Build, covering what was the big news coming out of that conference? I hear there was a different platform strategy announcement.
Well, they announced Cortana, which is their Siri equivalent, and I didn't get to touch it. I was busy doing other things, but I hear it's very sassy and pretty good. So, you know, review incoming about that. But the biggest news, I think, out of Build this year was that they're going to make Windows free on phones and small tablets. So now you can build kind of lower-end Windows devices and smartphones that can compete with Android tablets on a dollar-per-dollar basis. And if Microsoft wants to grow its unit and market share, it has to do this. You can't charge $30 for Windows on a $100 device. So you can't do that.
So who are some of the manufacturers who, are there anyone that's signed up yet?
Yeah, there's a whole list and some new ones. And they're really trying to get new OEM partners on board for Windows Phone, hoping to drive kind of market momentum across the other parts of the world.
Yeah.
They're getting creamed at home still. But they are growing pretty quickly in Europe and Asia.
I think like China, India.
I mean, the Lumia 520 is doing very well. So the company is kind of tearing up its old business model. I mean, if you're Microsoft, selling Windows, copies of Windows is the most Microsoft thing you can possibly do. It's like the soul of the company. So to throw that away is kind of, I don't know, kind of gutsy.
So Satya is like shaking things up.
It's not just like shaking the tree, like, no!
I mean, at what point does that extend to Windows licensing for other devices?
No, that's the cue. And the thing is, they can't afford right now to not charge for Windows on like PCs. That's like a $10 billion a year business. But I think they understand that that revenue stream will decline over time, and so they need to build other revenues like services, Store, OneDrive, Office, whatever, that will replace that revenue in time. In 10 years, will Microsoft charge for Windows? I don't think so. But it needs to make that pace gradual because it has investors and quarterly earnings reports. So it can't afford like a startup to do just to pivot and stop charging for it. But they can start the lower part of the market and then kind of build up. But charging large enterprises for Office is pretty lucrative. It's like 98% gross margins, so it's hard to be too sad about that. But it's cool to see happening. They're changing shit up. We'll have to see if it works out.
We'll
But
see.
the bets are kind of being laid, so it's fun to watch.
Awesome. Well, that's all the time we have for this week. Tune in next week.